Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. As you know, I love homemade crossbows, and they are a lot of fun, specifically if they have repeating function like this one. Oops. Nice, but you know what's missing? Full auto. I always wanted to have a full auto slingshot. Imagine if I could do ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta. That's what I want. You know, I tried so many things. I made lots of Gatling slingshots, but those have a limited mag capacity and they're cumbersome to load. I even made a full auto pencil shooter, but that has the disadvantage that it was only shooting weak pencils for a very short distance. But now I found a solution. Rack and pinion. Meet the full auto crossbow slingshot. Let me show you its features. As you see, it's operated by this Makita battery drill, which is really strong. It has about 50 Newton meters of torque in first gear, so it can handle a lot of band power. And it turns this wheel, this flywheel here, pushing the rod, and the rod actually pushes back the string until the trigger sear here engages. And then when it keeps moving, it actually automatically fires the trigger. And then the cycle repeats itself. And as you see, we have this rubber-powered force-feed magazine that holds up to 32 of these inexpensive crossbow bolts. What I love about this is that it really has this full auto feeling. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. Empty. Loading is really easy. You simply take the bolts and let them drop down right into the magazine. And then you put in the sled and attach the rubber bands. These are important because gravity is not quick enough to feed the mechanism in time. Let's try 14 meters distance. It works. Why no ballistic jelly tests? Well, first of all, I haven't optimized the power. There's a little room for making it more powerful, and then we can probably test performance. But also because I prepared some, and I think, typical for me, I underestimated the cold. Look what happened. I don't think that this is well suited for penetration tests today. Is this scalable? Can we make it bigger? Sure, I think we can. Imagine using this drill, which has 100 Newton meters of power and 36 volts, and full-size bolts. Or, of course, imagine what you could do with the John Deere engine. Well, I hope you like this, because that's it for today. Thanks, Amy. Bye-bye. All right, questions and answers. First question. Can we attach more teeth to the other side and add a second cycle? The answer is no. As you can see in the slow motion, the bands actually pushing back the sled and also the main band need some time for their action too. And timing is very critical. If we would add a second set, then actually the bands would hit the sled as long as it's still resetting, and then the whole action would be shot. Second question. It's awkward that the drill is sideways. Is this really a problem? I don't think so. You just have to think outside of the box. Just because of the fact that firearms have inline handles doesn't mean that it always has to be the case. Because look, this is not uncomfortable to hold. It actually gives me a lot of dexterity. And it is not a necessity to always pull the trigger with your right hand finger. You know, can do that the same way with this one. As you see, it's not a problem at all. Can you not use a 90-degree adapter for drills so that it's in line? Answer is no, because these adapters only go up to maximum 20 Newton meters, and you need more than that. And also you lose a lot of power that way, because there is friction and everything, additional mass that has to be moved. And I don't have any spare power to lose. In fact, one of the things that I will now do is increase the amount of rubber to make it shooting even harder, because I think there is a reserve. Next question, can this be done with an exchangeable magazine? Sure. It's a little bit of mechanical efforts, and then you can do it. I just don't have enough of the bolts to really justify all the time that it costs. But that's an option. Is this legal in Germany? Yes, it is, because as you see, it doesn't have a tubular barrel. This hole actually doesn't touch the bolts, and the rest is just a slot. And therefore, this isn't considered a firearm. It's also not a crossbow, because it's obviously not operated by muscle power. So it's unregulated, same as my over-the-barrel arrow shooters. Why is the fork so wide? Couldn't it also be done with a smaller fork? Yes, in theory it could. But then what would happen is that the angle here would be a lot more steep, and that would squeeze in the sled in cocked condition, and actually would make it harder to pull back the sled on time. Therefore, the wide crossbow here gives me a mechanical advantage. So why I am still shooting in first gear and not in second gear, although that would be a lot quicker? Well, the main reason for this is because then the action would no longer work. The timing is off. What would happen is that the rubber bands would hit the sled when it's still traveling backwards, and then the whole thing would actually shoot weaker than now. So timing is critical, and we are reaching about the limit of the speed of rubber. Can we also use a normal crossbow prod instead of rubber? Yes, in theory we can, although rubber is really well suited for this, because there is no hysteresis effect. This means that rubber loses power when it cools down, so you shouldn't keep it cocked back for a long time, otherwise you'll lose power quickly. But this is actually not happening here, because the shot falls right afterwards. So this is an ideally suitable media for storing the energy. Can the battery drill still be removed? Sure, it's simply attached by a little bit of rubber. There's a small wooden shoe here that keeps it in place, and the rest is simply just normal. So yes, I can remove it within seconds. So the wooden rack and pinion, is this not gonna go dull after a while? Is not gonna be a lot of mechanical abrasion? Yes, and actually that is an issue, and therefore what I've done is I actually added an 8mm layer of aluminum, so that actually the wood is mostly for guiding everything, so that there's enough room. But I think the abrasion is kept under control because I use metal. Most important question, does this really feel like a machine gun? Heck, it does. It really does.